Hi guys, this is Aaron Wilson. I'm at KPRC2 Studios. I want to talk about the Texans, sort of stock report like we've done before with the stock up, stock down kind of thing, and I'll add in some news notes and some observations. We'll start with the news of the day. They signed Jalen Mills. Jalen has experience in this system, having played for Robert Saleh, which is obviously what the Texans and DeMeco Ryans have run, and he played for the Jets last year. And you look at Jalen, he has 8 career interceptions. He's been a playmaker. He's played for the Philadelphia Eagles, where he earned a Super Bowl ring. And he's also from DeSoto, so he's from Texas. And yeah, he's a solid safety. And they needed this position because, here are some of the other updates. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, as you guys know, is not out for the season, but he is sidelined. So we don't know when he's going to play. And because you have that uncertainty, they needed depth. Also with Jimmy Ward, I know that the grand jury is August 31st. He's not going to be ready physically, I'm told, for the start of the season anyway. So it is really a moot point whether the case is dismissed and then all of a sudden he's back on the field. That is not a likely scenario. It is more, okay, then see what the NFL does. Because simply being arrested and accused of this type of crime is allegation. It's a thing with the NFL that you can still be suspended. So we'll see what they do. Cannot predict that outcome. Don't know what will happen. Understand the legal strategy and the confidence of attorney Steven Jackson, who's told me more than once that he expects the case to be no billed when it goes to the grand jury. The August 13th court date is an informational setting, and it sounds like it's more procedural than actual, real action in that case. So we'll continue to monitor that and see what happens. So then Jalen Reed, the other safety, the third safety, he is still out a couple of weeks more, at least, with this sprained ankle. So they had to get Jalen Mills in. They have MJ Stewart. They have Rush East. But it was a situation where really did need depth at the position. So Kalen Bullock, obviously, have a good starter there, but you needed to have some quality depth. So they've done that, and that was the goal. And, of course, you have some flexibility with Miles Bryant, ability to play safety. But, yeah, let's go ahead and go through kind of the stock up, stock down. And I'm only going to really mostly go through guys that played in the game and that there's something relevant going on with them, speaking to their status or just what the impressions they've made on me, that kind of thing. So we'll run it down. All right. So Jaden Higgins, looking good. Jaden Higgins catching the passes that were thrown to him. Didn't have a lot of opportunities to make a big play, but, I look at preseason football for rookies kind of a pass-fail. Definitely passed. Okay. Cam Robinson did miss the game, so that meant Ariante Ursary played left tackle. And that's very good news because I thought he looked good at left tackle. He easily handled the Vikings pass rush and created time for Davis Mills, the backup quarterback, who had an excellent game. We'll get into Davis in a minute. But Ursary, massive, back on his old stomping grounds, played at the University of Minnesota, and I thought he looked very good in the run game, opened some holes for Dara Gobwale. And overall, the offensive line, especially Jake Andrews, Juice Scruggs, and Ariante Ursary, looked good. The bad news is that Blake Fisher, I don't know if it's a confidence issue or just he's struggling with something, but did not play well. Had a false start, as he did in camp, had some false starts, and he allowed a lot of pressures. I think it was like a handful of pressures. So that's not good. But Ursary created lanes for Dara Gobwale to run through. And Dara looked a lot better than the other backs. So I have a disparity between Dara's level and the first team offense. So let's go ahead and, talk about, a couple of the other guys. Jake Andrews looked like he held up well, looked strong at the point of attack. That's good. And then over at right guard, Ed Ingram, not bad. I saw some runs to the right where it was Ed that created a hole. And he's a pretty big, strong guy, former LSU. But it was good to see Juice Scruggs make some progress. So that's what you want to see. You want to see Juice, former second-round pick, being in the mix. I know this. He's valuable to them. And the plan is to have Juice around because he plays center, right guard, and left guard. And he's that guy that can do that. He has that versatility. And ideally, yes, he'd be a starter. I understand that. But you got to get what you can out of him and just kind of salvage the situation. You've made a draft pick, you've invested that capital, so get the best out of him. And of course, as you guys know, days off for CJ Stroud, so just not real conducive to having their starter play. They're not like the Vikings where they've got to get J.J. McCarthy these reps. It's different. No Nico Collins, no Christian Kirk, no Laken Tomlinson, no Titus Howard, no Dalton Schultz, and of course Joe Mixon, who's still on the non-football injury list. And so that's some of the guys that didn't play on offense besides the obvious injured ones like Trent Brown and other players like that. And sorry for the scratching. I got sunburned in West Virginia. I mean, that sounds crazy. It was cold, like 60 degrees cold, and it was overcast. So like a dummy, I didn't put sunscreen on one of the days, and my eyelids literally are cooked. I mean, I'm very red, as you guys can see, but as red as my burgundy jacket here. So playing hurt a little bit. I am tired from the trip, but I'm happy to be home. I got home this morning and just excited to be back in Houston, and then practices in the afternoon tomorrow about 2 o'clock. So we'll have coverage, of course, like we do every day, of Texans practice. So we'll get you that. Sticking with the offensive side of the football and kind of going through some of the things with the backups. Braxton Berrios, that was kind of a revelation to see him look that explosive 1 year after the torn ACL. And he catches a touchdown. He catches all 3 passes thrown to him, and he also was good in the return game, punt and kickoff. And Berrios is looking very much like the Steven Sims that you got to have him, but maybe he has more of a role than Sims because he's looking like a really good football player. The play call from Nick Caley, we'll talk about play calling for a second, preseason play calling. That's a nice looking play. Play action to the right, and then you roll Davis Mills to his left. So a little misdirection, reverse type of action, moving from right to left, and then hitting Braxton Berrios in the flat. Perfect timing, and then Berrios did the rest. Turned on the accelerators and lowered his shoulder, some toughness, and just a very good game by Braxton Berrios. There's just a lot to be happy about with Berrios, and maybe he was kind of flying under the radar a little bit because they hadn't played a game, but I was just very impressed with what I saw from him. So guess what else? Wide receivers, stock up. John Mechie III, 5 catches on 8 targets. He did have 1 penalty. That 18-yard catch over the middle, that is good football. He created a passing lane for Davis Mills, and caught the ball. That was a good one. That set up the touchdown for Braxton Berrios. So that's outstanding to see that. And then with Xavier Hutchinson also made some plays. I thought that was encouraging to see with him. I thought that was good. Going back, I want to talk a little bit more about Davis Mills. So Davis has had a good camp. He's thrown some good footballs. He has shown some growth as a quarterback, and he's just a very solid backup. I really like what I'm seeing from Davis, the kind of picture that he's creating for the offensive coaches. And yes, CJ's the guy, and of course all of that is understood. But Davis is a credible, viable backup option. So this is good. This is good news. And if I had to think about anything big picture that I would say I liked for the Texans, not like for me, but liked that they should like, it's Davis Mills. To see your backup quarterback go 4 or 5 and have 147.9 passer rating, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, that's good football. So good on Davis to have a good game. Jalen Mills, the run after the catch ability and the strength, the play strength from him, he looked like a little running back out there. I thought that was good. I thought that was impressive. So another good one. And, going through some of the backups here, I'm just kind of looking at a depth chart. That's what I'm looking down at from rlads.com, which I highly recommend. rlads for their depth charts all over the NFL. They do a good job. Tough day for Zach Thomas, the left tackle, the very reserved left tackle. And I saw him, get beat on a speed rush by Gabriel Murphy for a sack, just like he was standing still. And then he false started, He got knocked around. Another guy that I was a little surprised by that he didn't play better was Jalen Thomas. Just didn't see a good game from him. I thought Ladarius Henderson didn't stand out. And then the reserve quarterback, while we saw some good things at quarterback from Davis Mills and Keaton Slovis, what you didn't have was a good game by Graham Mertz, a couple of interceptions, some rough moments. One of them was batted, but the other ones, him and Xavier Johnson, just not on the same page. That didn't look good at all. So not great. They showed you they'll use the fullback. Jakob Johnson started the game, so they're into that. Dameon Pierce, I think, will be practicing this week. Looking around kind of some of the guys that weren't practicing. I think Christian Harris will practice this week. As you guys know, they've been ramped up, and we've been reporting on that about who's doing what and who's in the mix. Okay, well, kind of feel like I covered the offense. Let's go defense, Texans defense. And, this was mostly the backups, the backup bowl, as I call it. So here's who didn't play. Will Anderson Jr. and Foley Fatukasi and Daniil Hunter and Henry To'oto'o and Aziz Al-Shire and Derek Stingley Jr. And, of course, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's injured, and Kalen Bullock and Kamari Lassiter. So a lot of backups. You did see Tim Settle out there, and Tim Settle looked good. He ran with the ones, and, to me, he should be a starter. I think he's very effective. He's a big, strong defensive tackle. Nothing going on with the contract at this time, but something that could be addressed at some point. So we'll see if that happens. I was relieved to see the Darrell Taylor go back in the game because he got checked out and went to the blue medical tent and then went inside to be evaluated. Don't know because they don't have to make an announcement what was going on with Taylor. But obviously, for him to go back in the game, he's fine. And then, Denico Autry, same thing with him. I think it'll be slow, aiming toward the end of the month, that kind of thing. And at linebacker, I thought E.J. Speed was outstanding. He was sticking guys. He's a hitter, rangy, was good in coverage, just a outstanding football game. He was really the highlight to me of the defense, is making plays. I thought all the linebackers were good, but I thought especially a cut above, even if he doesn't wind up starting, there's no way that DeMeco Ryans going to have him just ride the bench. No, they're paying him $5 million max value, and they're going to have some snaps for him. And I think it would keep these linebackers fresh. Henry To'oto'o is not the biggest linebacker in the world. He's had a couple of dings here and there. Christian Harris, as you guys know, durability issues, abound for him, unfortunately. And this isn't any commentary on toughness or anything like that. It's not about that. It's just that he is very vascular, very defined athlete with a low body fat percentage. And that tends to lead to some of the soft tissue injuries he's had. So that's just part of his, physiology. Not to get all high tech on you. Yeah, it was my encyclopedia word, Webster's, that type of deal. Jake Hansen always scrapes, finds the right angles, makes plays. MJ Stewart started at safety, and I didn't think MJ did a good job helping the DBs, the corners, the outside corners, over the top. I thought he left Tremont Smith kind of high and dry a couple times. I think that was a great game by MJ. He can play better than that. I didn't think that was a good game by him. I thought Rush Yeast held up fine. And I thought he tackled well. I think he was fairly physical. That was a credible performance by him. And then Tommy Togiai, Mr. Consistency, continues to show up just every day. Gets it done. Junior Tafuna, similar. He's good at slipping blocks. He's strong inside, and he's a good football player. Nick Neiman, very heady, smart linebacker. He's physical. He's strong. I think he can help. And then Damon Arnett Jr., you guys probably saw my conversation with Damon. Damon, kind of a pass-fail thing for a guy that hasn't played a lot of football in a while, other than the UFL, hasn't played in the NFL in years. I think it was a pass because he made some tackles. He knocked off some rust. The special teams play where he got a piece of the tackle after being double team blocked and then blocking him to the ground. He jumps up and makes a tackle. That shows hustle. I'd be surprised if Frank Ross doesn't show that play again and again. I know which play he will show. The British Brooks hit. And that's how you make the team. These moments when you show the coaches that you can be counted on. That you're going to raise your hand and say, I'd love to be on the kickoff punt team. I'll go down there and I'm going to knock the you-know-what out of somebody. I think that was good. That's good football. Jamal Hill, tackle for a loss. He needed to make a play. He did. That came up. Then he did that. Casey Toohill, a lot of pressure. That was good. Toohill's had a good camp. These are some tough decisions there at the end of the roster. And one roster decision they don't have to make because he's an international player and he doesn't count against the 90-man is Hagai Nnabusi, 6'7", 323-pound international player from Lagos, Nigeria. Learned to play the game watching YouTube videos and had a soccer and basketball background. He says he's 6'8", 320. They say 6'8", 340. They say 6'7", 323. Either way, he's big, and he had a sack, so he made a play. Solomon Byrd, a lot of pressure, and that was early in the game when they had some of their better backups that were playing. So I like to see what I'm seeing from Solomon, USC guy that knows how to get to the quarterback. Solid. Tremont Smith did have a special teams play. He was alert, Johnny on the spot with the fumble recovery. So that was good. In the return game, I like what I saw from Berrios. To me, you need Berrios. Berrios is a plus player, a positive. So you keep Berrios around one way or another. I just don't see how you keep him out of the equation. It just feels like he should be a part of it. And like I said, guys, we'll have practice coming up. We're going to cover that. We're going to have a lot more coverage. Let's see, just a couple more thoughts I have. Looking down some of my notes here. I try to prep for these a little bit. I tape Sports Sunday. We'll have Sports Sunday tonight, of course. And, definitely like some of the guys that are doing better. Kind of looking at, some of the players. We kind of gone through it all. I think that is most of it. Let's see. I think that's it, guys. I think we'll wrap on that. But this week, just to set the agenda for you, they will practice with the Carolina Panthers on Thursday. That's a joint practice with them. So you'll see Bryce Young out there against the Texans defense. You will see matchups like Xavier Legette, their very athletic wide receiver, big wide receiver, against Kamar Lassiter, Derek Stingley Jr., so that'll be good to watch that. See how they handle those matchups. And then, of course, we'll have J.C. Horn against Nico Collins and Jaden Higgins, some of the Texans' outside wide receivers. And so that'll be interesting as well. And I think there'll still, be some pretty good battles in the trenches. So that's some of what's going on with the Texans. And then they have, of course, the home preseason opener at noon kickoff, like those, the early kickoff. And, just good to be back in Houston, Texas after a week away. But I heard they liked it. I wouldn't be surprised if they went back to the Greenbrier at some point. Maybe even next year, maybe even for a longer stint than a week. We'll see what happens. But not reporting that, just something that might happen. We'll see what goes on with that if that does happen. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching, liking, and subscribing. We are over 13,400 followers now, so you guys are part of a fast-growing Texans channel. I think probably one of the fastest-growing NFL channels as far as like local coverage. It's centered on one team. That's what I've kind of evolved this into. Reserve the right to talk about the other teams if I want to, or do videos and things like that. But right now, we're talking Texans, and this is kind of my wheelhouse, what I'm very familiar with, the team I'm have the access with. So that why wouldn't I, talk Texans? So that's what we do, and it's fun, and I'm enjoying it. Like the interaction, I see your comments, like to respond to all of those, and at least hit like or read them, all that stuff. I read everything. I see all the comments. So guys, thanks and please keep them coming and engaging and talking ball, because the YouTube channel is a place you can hang out if you want. You can hang out on the message board basically and go back and forth. You can just debate. And the nice thing about sports, everybody's got opinions. My opinion may be wrong or you may not agree with me. That's okay. It's about healthy debate. So anyway, you can follow the channel at Aaron Wilson Sport on Twitter and X at Aaron Wilson _NFL. So we have 111,000 there. So it's a pretty large Twitter account. Encourage you to follow me on Twitter because I do a lot of quick micro updates on Twitter. It's a little faster, to get things out. That's still a good outlet for that. And something I still lean into. And I'm part of their creators program, and that's actually been good. That's been good for me. And then, of course, I'm on Instagram, AaronWilson7128. Post a little less often there, but I post some, especially on the story. Not as many reels, but more stories. And, of course, www.click2houston.com and KPRC2. So Television Tonight with Randy McElvoy and the Sean Pendergast from Sports Radio 610. So great conversations with Randy and Sean. So, and also I want to congratulate Randy. Randy is now part of the HISD Sports Hall of Fame for his dedication and outstanding coverage of high school sports and his support of the young men and young ladies that play high school sports here in the Houston region. So yeah, congratulations, Randy. Well deserved, and proud of you for all of your things you've done with that and a bunch of other things. So yeah, Randy McElvoy, who's also on YouTube. Yeah, give him a chance. You know, he's kind of getting started with this. Like, remember, I started last year from scratch, so it's a growth process. And I don't know everything. I'm still trying to figure some things out. Finally figured out, hey, microphones and, you know, a little bit better video quality, and just trying to do my best with it. But yeah, more to come. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Look forward to our next conversation.